66 on your AM dial, 101.9 FM. Joe and Evan on the Fan. Joe and Evan on WFAN.
Live on a Friday from the Mike Francesa studio. What else does it say? Honoring 20-plus years of something. I can't read it from here. How are we all doing? Benego and Roberts until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Great job out of Dove Kramer. He got the show off without a hitch, unlike the debacle that was yesterday. And Ernie got here on time, so he's in a good mood. And I've got great news. Joe had his surgery yesterday. I can confirm that. All right? I can also confirm that he's doing very, very well. He's been up and walking. He's already had physical therapy. He's going home today, and he's ready for the road back. So there you go. It's a positive update on Joe B. And it's funny because every time there's surgery in sports, you always get that report, probably on like a 2020 update that says blank had successful surgery. And it's like, what's unsuccessful surgery? Like the patient didn't make it? Like what happened? The leg fell off? So like 99% of surgeries are successful. I can now fall into that trap and say Joe had successful surgery. And he's on his way back. And he'll be back on Monday live from the comfortable chair at his beautiful home in New Jersey. By the way, today we will do a lot of baseball. Sweeney Murdy will join me a little bit later on the show. The great Tom Verducci, Chad Green, who I'm actually most intrigued by at this Yankee spring training camp, will join me in a couple of minutes. But before I get into baseball, I just want to point something out. Because last night I decided to spend my Thursday watching nothing but 2.5 hours of hockey. And it's unexplainable. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But there is some serious ownage going on of the New York Islanders over the New York Rangers. They are, it's amazing, 13-3 in their last 16 games against the Rangers. For some reason, Halak is a monster against the Rangers. The Islanders own him in Brooklyn. They never lose. And even though Halak was peppered with 50 shots yesterday, for the first time all season, we got a full moon and like a tornado and a hurricane all at the same time. And you know what that was? An Islanders shutout. And a huge win for the Islanders over the Rangers last night in Brooklyn. As far as the Yankees are concerned, I got to give credit to our old coworker, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, who's literally gotten into fights with everybody in the last 3 weeks. What great versatility he has. Whether it was, who did he get into a fight with from Sirius? I forgot. David Deal, right. Got into a fight with David Deal. He got into a fight with our very own Chris Carlin. I heard that. And then the other day, and this wasn't even his fault, he gave his opinion that the Yankees are the team to beat in the American League, which that phrase, team to beat, I remember that became a controversy with the Mets and Phillies back a decade ago. What is the team to beat? Like, what does it even mean to be the team to beat? And Justin Verlander went on Twitter to combat it and say, well, I could think of a reason why they're not the team to beat. Here's the deal when I look at the American League. I'll give you my thought as we start spring training and start games in a week. Technically, are the Houston Astros the team to beat? Okay, sure, fine. They're the defending world champions. We get it. They've actually gone out and improved themselves during this offseason. And they have a young core that's only going to get better. A guy like Carlos Correa may only get better. A guy like George Springer may only get better. This bullpen should get better after it was really good in the first half of the year and fell off completely in the second half of the season. Jose Altuve may not get better, but I think when you look at where he is in his career, assuming health, he's a star. They may go get JT Realmuto, which would make them even better. Verlander is there for a full season. So, sure, I don't have a problem with everyone just understanding that the Astros are a, quote, team to beat in the American League. But here's the thing, and I look at this every year during a baseball season, and every sport is different. I don't feel this way in the NBA. I do feel this way to a degree in the National Football League, and I certainly feel this way in Major League Baseball. It is very difficult, no matter how obvious things look, to do it again. It's very difficult to do that. Now, sometimes has it happened? Sure. The Kansas City Royals got to the 7th game of a World Series. They lost in brutal fashion in their own building, and they came back the next year, and they won a World Championship. Good for them. The Chicago Cubs got all the way to a National League Championship Series. They got annihilated in that NLCS by a team you may have heard of, and then they came back the next season and won the World Series. But sometimes it doesn't happen. I mean, look at the Cleveland Indians last year. Would we all agree that over 162 games, the Cleveland Indians were the best team in the American League? They had that crazy winning streak. How long did that winning streak go? 21 games? 20 games? 22 games? I don't even remember. And you want to know why I don't remember? Because it's kind of meaningless. It turned out to be completely meaningless Because when the Cleveland Indians got to the postseason with expectations of getting back to a World Series the way the Royals did, and this time winning the World Series the way the Royals did, they choked it away against the Yankees in the American League Divisional Series. And I don't mean that as a knock on the Yankees. The Yankees also took it away. The Yankees proved out to be the better team at that point. But what the whole point of this is I don't know who the team to beat really is in the American League. From a technicality standpoint, sure, it's the Astros. They won the World Series last year. They had a nice offseason. But I'll tell you this right now as we sit here in February, and I know this isn't going out on a limb, but I don't think they're getting back to the World Series. It's tough to get back to the World Series. It is tough to not only survive 162, to just make the playoffs. This is not the NBA. It's tough to make the playoffs. Even in baseball. I know the Yankees made it look easy in the 90s and 2000s. It is not easy to make the postseason. You got to win 90 games. For the most part. Sometimes you can get in with 86, 87, 88. There are some years where that happens. But for the most part, you got to get to 90. And by the way, 90 doesn't even ensure it, because if you win 90, and let's say you're in a wild card game like the Yankees were last year, now your whole season comes down to one game. Which, that's what happened to the Yankees last year. And by the way, the guy who's joining us in a couple of minutes, he was maybe the star of that game. Because Chad Green came in the first inning when every Yankee fan said to themselves, oh my God, we're going to take this season and throw it down the toilet because we're down 3-0 to the Twins and Luis Severino can't get out of the first inning. The point is, I have no idea who in the real world is going to win the American League. Do the Yankees have a shot? Absolutely. Do they have as good a shot as everybody else? Yeah. I mean, the teams that jump out at me in the middle of February would be the New York Yankees, the Cleveland Indians. Does this sound familiar, by the way? It's basically last year's playoff teams, but they're good. The Houston Astros, and I probably still put the Red Sox in there. They did win the American League East last year. They still need to go out and add J.D. Martinez. They did bring back Eduardo Nunez reportedly on a one-year deal. We'll see what Chris Sale does in his second full year there, and we'll see what David Price can do trying to bounce back from what was a very underwhelming season. Will there be another team like the Angels that steps up? I guess. It's possible. But there shouldn't be controversy over we're the team to beat, you're the team to beat, I'm the team to beat. Who knows? Because throughout the month, I'd say from July on, the Indians were the team to beat. They were the defending American League champions. They had this ridiculous winning streak in the middle of the season or late in the season, and they looked like the best team in the American League. And then they lost to a baseball team that 2 nights earlier, when that series started, looked like they were going to be knocked out in game 163. Baseball is a very difficult game to predict. I get Verlander trying to say, hey, don't disrespect us. But you know what, Justin? You won the World Series. You're the champs. But what you're about to find out, it's very tough to do it again. And every year that goes by in this sport, and there's a team that won the World Series or got to the World Series, or in the Yankee case came close to getting to the World Series, or in the Met case lost the World Series, and we get back to the beginning and we start over, it reminds you how difficult it is. And you know what it also reminds you? I'm about to compliment the Yankees of the 90s. It shows you that what they freaking did in the 90s was stupidly ridiculous. That what they did in 96 and 98 and 99 and 2000, and you know what? Even 2001, because they got there. They got within centimeters of winning another world championship. What that shows you, as time has gone by over the last decade and a half, since that dynasty really ended, and it's tough. It's tough work getting through 162 games and making sure you qualify for this postseason. And then it's really tough work to get through a best-of-5 series, a best-of-7 series, and then another best-of-7 series. Look at the postseason last year. It was such a fine line for all of these teams getting to where they eventually got and being eliminated real early. I mean, think about the Yankees. Think about the regular season they had, and think about that night at Yankee Stadium. I was in the building that night, and that building was electric. It was pumped. It was going nuts because the Yankees were the better team than the Minnesota Twins. We all knew that, right?